a near-human species renowned for their intricate facial tattoos. The Mirialans are a somewhat mysterious race, hailing from the world of Mirial, a frozen desert planet located on the major hyperspace route known as the Hydian Way. The beginnings of the Mirialans as a people is unknown to the galactic record, and despite their large diaspora across the general galaxy, very little of their history is publicly recorded. What is known is that Mirial formally joined the Republic around the year 4000 BBY, and for many years prior, the Mirialans were already beginning to spread across the galaxy, leading one to assume that they were one of the oldest of discovered races. Historically, the planet of Mirial has never really been at the forefront of any major galactic event, but rather the Mirialans as a collective people have largely been distinguished by the acts of major figures considered to be heroes across the Republic, mainly as smugglers and Jedi. Perhaps the most renowned Mirialan was a woman named Hylo Viz, a self-made smuggler and privateer during the Old Republic era. Originally from the factory world of Balmora, Hylo's father was savagely killed during an attack by the Empire, and she and her mother were forced to flee to Nar Shaddaa as refugees. Tragically, her mother would die by combination of sorrow and disease upon her shuttle to Nar Shaddaa, and Hylo would make landfall upon the planet as an orphan. Attaching herself to a group of other orphan children, she would eventually grow up to scrape a living as a starship mechanic for the Hutt Cartel, and later as a hired smuggler. Eventually, she would nearly lose her life when smuggling product for the Hutts in a retaliatory attack made by a corporate entity, and after this event, she had decided her life was worth more than living at the will of the Hutts. Finally establishing herself years later as an independent privateer, an associate of the shady Deveronian Tiresias Loci, and the mastermind of her own smuggling ring, Hylo would finally exact her revenge against the Empire. After the forging of an alliance between the Sith Empire and the Mandalorians, a large and nearly impenetrable blockade was forced upon the Republic by the Mandalorians, blocking main hyperspace routes and effectively starving the core worlds from much-needed supplies. In an act driven more by spite and greed rather than charity and patriotism, Hylo would begin plans to break through the blockade and supply the core worlds with the goods they needed for the Republic to repel the Sith's attack. Using the transport ships as a distraction, Hylo Viz and her smuggler companions were able to ambush the Mandalorians and overwhelm their defenses, smashing through the blockade and supplying the Republic with the rations and weapons they needed to turn the tide of the war. Hylo Viz would be heralded as a hero across all of the Republic, and would be paid a small fortune as payment for her actions. While there would be a ceremony held in her honor, she vanished from the public eye, and was absent from the event. Believing she had what she would ever need in terms of credits, it'd only be shortly thereafter that she would realize that she had been duped by the Deveronian Tiresias Loci, and he had taken the whole reward for himself just before vanishing. While Hylo Viz continued to be an opportunistic ally for the Republic, and has an expansive narrative of her own, it is this endeavor that ascended her as something of a paragon for the Mirialan people. Millennia after millennia, Mirialans would continue to spread across the galaxy, even embedding themselves into the ranks of the Republic military, the Senate, and the Jedi Order. However, by 32 BBY, just before the events of the Phantom Menace, the Mirialans would be forced to make a radical decision that would later herald a time of shame for their planet. Due to the scarcity of resources on their planet, the Mirialans were forced to make special agreements and alliances with the Trade Federation, just to sustain its ever-growing population. When the Trade Federation eventually invaded Naboo, the Mirialans were partially held responsible in the minds of many, as they had access to intervene via the Hydian Way. This unsavory relationship between Mirial and the Trade Federation continued throughout the Clone Wars, due to the planet of Mirial being located within separatist space. There is no information within galactic records to show exactly what the relationship between the planet of Mirial and the Republic was like during the Clone Wars, but it is safe to assume that the presence of Mirialan Jedi within the Order, as well as their long history as loyal members of the Republic, meant that there was something of an understanding in regards to the predicament Mirial was truly in. Decades later, with the fall of Palpatine's Galactic Empire, the Mirialans were once again a normalized part of the Republic, and there is no records to show that they had ever been formally removed in the first place. Clearly, the Mirialans' ancient ties to the Republic and their reverence for the light side had finally paid off. All that remains within galactic records on the history of Mirialans is their willingness to accept refugees from other planets during times of conflict and famine. Being a near-human species, the Mirialans do not greatly differ from the average humanoid in terms of body structure. However, they are generally predisposed to be more agile, more quick, and more flexible in comparison to humans, and therefore make exceptional martial artists and acrobats. While their true origins aren't known, many galactic biologists have theories that the Mirialans are some sort of offshoot race from the humans, much like the Chiss, who also hail from a frigid homeworld. Skin color aside, there is one more physical characteristic that marks the Mirialans out from the other near-human races, and that is their geometric and intricate tattoos upon the face and hands. Mirialan society is based on a religion derived from their cultural beliefs on the cosmic force, which they attribute to their ideas of fate and guidance. This belief system is so embedded into their society that it influences all facets of life upon their culture, and is something believed in by nearly all Mirialans, and not just the Force-sensitive ones. The Mirialans believe that each decision a person makes only leads to another possible set of future decisions, each decision therefore constituting a predetermined fate dictated by past actions. Each decision opens newly acquired possibilities, each choice then playing a pivotal role in the shaping of one's life. The tattoos commonly adorning the skin of the Mirialans is both a reflection of this belief, as well as a way to distinguish one's choices and achievements. While the Mirialans have their own language, also called Mirialan, their tattoos are something of a language in itself, and their exact symbolic meaning is a complete mystery to anyone outside of their race. However, they themselves are able to read another Mirialan's tattoos and pick out the most specific of achievements and life choices, each pattern and shape contributing to an overall story literally written on a Mirialan's body. These tattoos are so complex in symbolism, the smallest deviation and placement upon the skin totally changes the meaning, making this tattooing process both exceedingly calculated and sacred to this race. While this practice does encourage Mirialans to make careful and rational decisions in order to influence their destiny in the best way possible, it does come with a penalty to many, as a Mirialan's achievements are very literally written on their face. Those who've had less achievements or have markings of poor choices made early in life find very little room for redemption, and can many times be discriminated against for this. However, this overall belief system in relation to the cosmic force, destiny, and careful consideration makes the Mirialan society highly compatible with that of the Jedi Order, and it is no surprise that Mirialan Jedi fill such a large number within the Order's ranks. The Jedi as a whole is something greatly revered by this race, and is considered one of the greatest of honors and greatest of destinies to depart from Mirial to become one with the Order. Some notable Mirialans include the Jedi traitor Barriss Offee, her patient and stoic master Luminara Unduli, and the legendary blockade breaker Hylo Visz.